Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to First Peoples Cultural Council online learning series. I invite you to turn your cameras on if you want, or you can leave them off. Today's webinar is dákwänje, and it will be presented by Khásha and Shänch'ea. My name is Glenn Jim. I'll be host today. And on behalf of First Peoples, I'd like to welcome you all. First Peoples Cultural Council supports revitalization for the work in BC's First Nations communities, Indigenous communities, all across what is known as British Columbia. First Peoples Cultural Council is grateful to have our home in the Khásha community of Tutchone, in the beautiful territory of the Khásha and Khásha peoples. We also have an additional satellite office in Tutchone People's Territory of Tecumloops, and we provide supports throughout the homelands of our Indigenous peoples here in British Columbia and beyond. So, as I mentioned, I'm your host today. I am Talit Mistinsne to Khásha Elananak. Talit Mistin is the name I was given as a young man. That is my traditional name. I am Glenn Jim is my English name. I work with First Peoples Cultural Council as a revitalization planning coach. I am going to be your host today, so welcome again. Just to introduce myself a little bit further, as I mentioned, I work as a language planning coach here at First Peoples. A long history in community wellness and development here in my territory. And I'm a bit curious about where maybe you're from. So in the chat today, maybe you can introduce yourself and where you're calling in from. So I'll invite you now to share that in the chat. So as we move through our processes, our housekeeping, if you will, I'd like you to introduce yourself in that fashion. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce our presenters for today. This presenter, I was very keen on presenting today, or being your host today for this presenter. I've known him for a little over 20 years. When I first was introduced to him, I met him in a culture camp up in his territory. And to watch him come in and the culture camp, it was down 80-mile dirt road to get to the camp where it was being hosted. And I watched him come in with his children, and I've seen him a number of times at various camps as well. And to see the dedication and the focus that he put into his language learning and the journeys since then has been an amazing one. And you're going to hear from him today about that journey. But I'd also like to introduce his interpreter. Now, his interpreter has her own amazing story as well. Shänch'ea is a graduate of a program that the Champagne Ajax people have started. It's an adult immersion program. And again, you'll hear a little bit more about that today as well. Shänch'ea is a graduate of that program. She lives in Haines Junction, as does Khásha. And so, again, you're going to hear a little bit more about these individuals in an amazing way. So without further ado, I would like to turn over to them the screen. So thank you so much, and give them a warm welcome.
Shonithan, Glenn. Dainji Shokathan Dejan Ike dákwänje. No. Aquander no. Quinder agan.
Thank you, Glenn. We're happy to be sitting here today. And I'm going to tell you my story now.
Jencot dasho shikadanke kuinji zetlo ukanithat ye duching aju dasho ye.
We have 10 elders now that understand our language and speak it. And so I think about what are we going to do when we don't have them.
Aganke klutla de kiankautan cliche.
Truly now I talk to the Creator.
Alright. Zetlo de kiankautan nanji.
Creator always helps me.
Guancho shika nijat ye duching aju dasho ye. Ye duching aju dasho ye. Ye kunje dunanatan. Nakwethu. Ye duching dunanatan. Aju dasho ye.
I always think about what's going to happen when our elders aren't here with us. I think about who's going to talk to the children, who's going to be speaking to them in the future.
Ainji Khásha uye Slinget yinji iche Kajet iche Amma Tioa uye na ata William Asp uye ata Shleit Michael Reed uye.
My name is Khásha. I carry a Tlingit name. I'm part of the Crow clan. My mom's name is Tioa. And my dad's name is
William Asp.
And my other dad's name is Michael Reed.
Alright. Asua yinji akhwara uye na asia yinji kandata uye na Shadhäla kochan.
My grandma's name was Akhwara and my grandpa's name was Gandata, and they were from Champagne.
Gange dakwukare yu ninje agaslanye atsanye Saki dunena ye or taike Saki dunena ye.
Now I live in Haines Junction with my wife and our kids, and now we live with 2 kids.
Dan nakuhiel ye nda sidla dasho ye nda sidla dan ke ga kenu dan.
I work with the Dannakuhiel and our elders, and we learn Danke.
Okay.
ING Shänch'ea uye Kajet iche Amma Marshas Farvier uye Ata West Kinney uye Atsuma Chugala Lorraine Allen uye Atsia Brian Kinney uye Dakokada yunin j dana kohyal each a ye dana kohyal inda sigla agan. Okay, so my name is Shänch'ea. In English, my name is Maya. I'm a part of the Crow clan. My parents are Wes Kinney and Marcia Sparvier, and my grandparents are Lorraine Allen and Brian Kinney. I live in Haines Junction. I'm a Danna Kohyal, and I also work with the Danna Kohyal. Shani Thun.
Agan ke aju khans atlo dan ke ja kwishe dákwänje kuchanye agaslan dan nakwiel dákwänje khans atlo dan ke ja kwishe yekwaka agan ke Shänch'ea good akwanje aga.
Now, almost always, I only speak dákwänje with my wife, with my family, with the Dannakohyal, with strangers, with everybody. I almost always only speak my language. And that's why Shänch'ea is here to help me speak English for me.
Shänch'ea hakal ke dan ke kedan agan so than kwadai jo tlaki jenka tlaki iching aju so than kwishe du tsala dan ke uinji tlaki jenka tlaki iche na ayekwaka nan so than dan ke jenza ye kwanje shu ganolchi shatsan nanji aganzanu.
Shänch'ea is learning quickly now. A while ago, a long time ago, she didn't know that much language, and now she understands and speaks better.
Dunana ishling ke aju dan ke ditsai aju dan ke uyinji ama atashun aju kuyinji niya ke aju dan ke jenza
When I was a kid, I didn't speak Däkwä. I didn't hear Däkwä. I didn't understand Däkwä. My parents never spoke it, and so I grew up without hearing the language.
Kitsa danku shun aju dan ke kwanje ayu gujan ke ja kitsa danku yu na kuche aga aju kwadai kwander ditsai aju dan ke Canadana je kwali gujan ja dana Canadana je kwali.
In school too, we never learned any of the language. School was difficult for me.
Kwadai kwander du.
Oh, I didn't hear any long ago stories. I didn't get any of the language.
Kitsa danku lahu malaspina tsan dia atlaya agaslan hawiye kwalun danke kitan aju danke kwanje danke kwadai kwander kwalun ayat kitan.
And so when school was done, I went to where? Malaspina with my friend. And there finally I learned däkwä, like our way, not the language, but just like traditional values. I heard a long ago story there.
Quatlingke, Shakatke, Kwanlin Tsan, Ninje, Shakatne, Ganita, Ma Jo Danke Uinji, Ma Shana Danke Uinji, Aju, Shana Aju Danke Uinji, Yeka Nisan, Kai, Ayera Juso San.
And then in the summer, I went to Whitehorse to live there. And I walk around and think about who knows däkwä. Look at the young people and think about who knows däkwä. And none of the young people did, and I just thought, like, holy, like, that's not good.
Quatlinke asua yeita asua dikat asua danke uinji kujanke asua shani agai danke uinji so than danke keshantano agai quatlinke kokye asua danke duye dajan kokai jani tlat shakat nai.
And then when I went to Champaign, I seen my grandma and I asked her if she spoke däkwä in English, and she said she did. And so I asked her if she could teach me, and she said she would. And so all summer I learned däkwä with her, and I'd write it down in a notebook, and I'd just always ask her, how do you say this in the language, and how do you say this in the language?
Quatling Malaspina Tlahun Quanlin Yu Ninje Atsanye Khaya Cho Danke Kitan Asua Ye Turowa Ye Shun Khaya Cho Danke Kidan.
And then when I was done at Malaspina and I was living in Whitehorse with my wife, I was learning däkwä with my grandma and also my grandma Tutawat as well. And just slowly learning the language.
Quatling Dan kana dani je Bayante Ayatlahu Ulan Kutan Quatling Elijah Smith Hita Danku Yun da Sidla Danke Kana Dani Je Guancho Dutsala Danke Lutla Uinji.
And then so when I finished the YNTEP program, I started working at Elijah Smith School with the kids, teaching them the language. However, truly, I did not have that much language.
Jenkot Taike Yuke Ayat Ketsa Danku Yun da Sidla Asua Aching Quatlinge Turowa Ye da Sidla Quatlinge Turowa Aching Quatlinge Saltin Ye Ugali Ye Kitan Asia Asua Kaknuch Ye Saltin Querda Jo Kaknuch Ye Kitan.
And so I taught at the school for 13 years. And so my grandma passed away. And so when my grandma passed away, I started working with Tutawat. And then when Tutawat passed away, I started working with my grandma and grandpa Khásha and Tasteen.
Quadad
for a long time.
gachnoch ye.
I worked with Patty for a long time.
Quadling ke YouTube ganita dekan quander ni aswali zalme zahir uyinji zalme zahir ani nklatara danke jean Quishe zenu nai Tlanithan ayet sothan.
And then on YouTube, I seen a video by
Zalme Zahir.
Zalme Zahir. And he was talking about speaking his language, and he said sometimes he goes all day just only speaking his language. And so when I seen that,
Ayet sothan.
I thought that was good. I thought that was a good idea.
Okay. When okay, Shahu Klakike Zenu Nai Danke Quishe Ayet sothan. Na kuche gwanjo sothan.
And then me too, I went only speaking my language. It was difficult for me, but it was good.
Quite link anatai with that. Desho that logijanke quishe.
But then I forgot, and then again, I was just always speaking English.
Okay. Shadhäla you nakwata isi shu. Danke kunje ga. Ayed nakwata isi. Nakwata ayed zanu. Flutla gekwarinje. Gela chuye.
And then so I made a potlatch for the language at Champagne. And we did a water ceremony, prayed with the water.
Ayed zenu shothan. Ayed gekwarinje. Shaka akungert at aganzanu.
That day was really good. And that prayer from that day is still in my spirit today.
Quadling dakwakarat ninje danakohyal isi dashoye kachnoch danathea da kachnoch sha'ala ntsuaye atzanye kalkyokyeshu.
And then I was living in Haines Junction with my wife. And we made the Danako Hill program with the chief, Steve Smith, Sha'ela,
Kalkyok.
and some of our elders, my grandma.
Atzanye shu.
And my wife as well.
Gwanjo danakohyal ye shika kujanke kwanje ye quishe.
However, with the Danakwahyal, we still spoke English with them.
Okay. Akun aga tlanye shu khan zetlo kujanke quishe atzan dajunana ye ashlaya ye zetlo kujanke du tala danke quishe.
And at my house too, with my wife and my kids, I would always be speaking English too. And like with my friends and everybody is just always still speaking English.
Danke quishe danakwahyalye dutzana gwanjo khan zetlo kujanke ayekwaka aju hakalke ga kenutan.
I almost always spoke English with the däkwä. And so that's what, because of that, we're just slowly learning.
Akan yukon Shänch'ea kijan yukon. Gun.
Now I'm 40.
Kitchen.
45. I'm 45 years old now.
Kitchen. Taike nja akwarat. Aju shothan queenje. Khaya jo queenje. Aju shothan jentha. Khaya jo jentha shu dutzana. Kitchen. Taike nja akwarat.
8 months ago, I wasn't speaking a lot, and my understanding was low, like it was kind of slow.
Chi khaya jo danke kidan kai. Ye duching Nathan.
Just very slowly, I was learning the language, and so I was just thinking about what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do?
Korakhan da show aju da ye duching aju da show ye Nathan.
Pretty soon our elders won't be with us. And so I was just thinking about what we're gonna do.
Quite linke ukanisat Zalmeza here. Zenu nai danke Jacques Kwanje ayet Sothan deshu ankanzenu. Ayet zenu aju gujanke quinje zenu nai. Zenu kwetling deshu. Zenu nai quinje danke quinje. Kuamanyu. Ashlaya matzasanama ye ike. Matzasanama. Hlaki zenu akan danke jacquishe. Aju inji that danke jagwanjo shothan akan. Matzasanama shani. Klu ulan kwetsan. Ayet sothan nu. Agay. Klu ulan kwetsan. Ayet sothan. Oh, aze sothan ayet zenu.
And so I thought about Zalmeza here again and how he said he only spoke his language all day. And so I thought about that again and thought that I would do that again. And so I went all day speaking only my language. And then the next day I was at Clue Lake and I spoke with my friend Matsusanuma and I told her that it was my second day of only speaking dákwänje, and I wasn't sure how long I was going to continue only speaking my language. And she said back to me, forever, only speak your language forever. And I thought, yes, forever, that's perfect.
Okay. Kwanjo, aju quinji, ayakwaka, aju atsanye quinje, aju agashlan, ashlaya, dakwänje, just hakal, aju gujanke, dutsa aju quinji ayet zenu.
However, I'm crazy because I never spoke with my wife. I never spoke with my kids or my family or friends, and just really quickly decided that I was just going to speak my language only. I never spoke with anybody. And so I was a little bit crazy.
Atsan, dajunena, du tsala danke jentha, klutlan du tsala, ayakwaka, atanye, dajunena, dakwänje. Okay, janitla dujanke, ayat kate, ayat eating.
My wife and our kids, they only understand a little bit of the language. And so I just write English on paper to speak with them.
It's on Shikhat. That's danke dákwänje. Lan Kwetsan. Huh, honey. Okay.
My wife, she asked me how long I'm gonna be speaking only däkwä, and I told her forever, and she went, huh.
I choose all that, huh? Quitling K. It's on, yes, Sakuni. Tan Kwaga Kanike, Quanthaj, oh, Ayekate Zenu Nai. Aju it's on ye, Quinje, Ayekwaka Ikal, ke aju ke Janitlet. Zenu Nai aju Krishe. It's on Kwalun Shani. Guai. Sinqua, Zenu Nai. Nketsakuitan Azua.
And so the next day I went on a long drive with my wife and our son, Takuni. And because I was driving, I couldn't write on the paper, and so I went all day without speaking. And then at the end of the day, my wife said to me that she missed me and that she was lonely and that I went all day without speaking.
Quitling K. Ah. Azay Janada. Azua. Kujanke Uye Quishe. Ninji Janada Ke. Shanhu Ayinji Janada Ke. Uyakwathat Ke Shu. Kujanke Ye Kunje. Okay. Dajan. Danke Kedan. Na kuche daga ntlatara.
And so that made my heart really sad when my wife said that to me. And I spoke with her in English. And I told her if she's feeling sad or mad, or if I'm ever feeling sad or mad, or if she's feeling like too full with the language, that I'll speak English with her. And this way of learning the language was a bit difficult for us.
Chihakalke.
Very quickly.
Shika na kuche. It's on the junene ga Guancho Akitzatli. It's on Akitzatli. Ajunena shun Akitzatli. Ayet Solthan.
It's still difficult for my wife and my kids sometimes, however they love me.
Okay. Tara Dan ita ye ayet danaju danke jentha ayet kuka jenitlet ayet danye ayet kuka tara zenu nai aju kwinje.
Sometimes when somebody sits with me and they don't understand däkwä, I just write on the paper for them. But that's why sometimes I go all day without speaking.
Ayet nakuch'ea agashu. Agatlanye. Gwancho. Aganke. Hlachi 100%. Nda sidla. Dunenaga. Adunenaga. Dadan dunenashu.
Sometimes it's difficult for me, but today I'm going 100% for my kids and for our people's kids.
Nakwata you ida ke nakuche tla aga ni I kwanjo aju aye kwanje aye kuka aye tanuinji o Khásha aju gujan ke kwanje aju.
Colleges are difficult for me too, because I see a lot of my family, but a lot of them don't understand däkwä, and so some of my family won't talk to me because they know I'm not speaking English.
March o aye ada ayetan däkwä ketan aye kuka däkwä Jean Quichet khaya cho ketan aye ada.
Those who sit with me, they'll slowly learn däkwä, because that's all I'm speaking.
Yukon ja akwadat ataye aju ata andu aye ita andu kamara ye ita kwanjo ayet zanu anatai kwatat cook aye kwaka aju andu aju däkwä jentha aju däkwä kwanje ayet zanu kwasho nakuch'ea ye du ching däkwä ja kwinje chi ju kwanje ni than ayet zanu.
4 months ago, I was sitting with my uncle, Kamara, but that day I forgot my paper, and so my uncle, he doesn't understand däkwä, and so that day I couldn't really speak with him, and so that day was really difficult for me.
Ye du ching.
Oh yeah, and so I was just thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, only speaking the language, like,
Chi ju kwinje.
I'm very crazy. Like, I was just wondering, like, what am I doing?
Zenu kwetla kweta yu ita majan Khásha ye kwetling ke haka kathana yisai teshu ye du ching tlahu akan nithan kwancho ju yingji tutla ju yingji ye du ching.
And so the next day I was working out in the bush with my chainsaw, but all of a sudden I just started crying, and I was thinking about, like, what am I doing again, and like, why am I doing this, and maybe I'm not gonna do this anymore, and
Okay, kwetling azua aye sakuni taka timan takaya tsan dijal Kamayu Ekwarinje the Kianka ye do jing Klutla Zananji Chu Kwatai Chu Zananji She a Juyinji ye do jing.
And then later I went to the river with my wife and our son, and I went to the shore and I was praying to Creator, and I was asking him to help me and asking what am I doing with the language, and just praying for Creator to help.
Quitling ke the Kianka Shani Ayet Dekan Kuchan ke Kwanje Ayet Dekan Khásha Ayet Dekan Deya Agan ke Quingli Dan ke Jaye.
And so I was praying at the river to Creator for help, and quickly he spoke back to me and he said that man Khásha that only spoke English, like he took off, he's gone. And now a new Khásha is born that speaks his language.
Ukanithat ayet Khásha dalkai anno deshu isai Nanuchishi.
And so I thought about the old Khásha going over the mountain and leaving. And again I cried and I said, see you later, Khásha.
Okay. Quitling ea kuger sothan ayet zanu deshu danke ganda sidla zetlo danke Jean Quishe.
And then after that, my spirit was good, and again I decided to only be speaking my language, and
Guangzhou Asha Dutela je Aju shothan Quishe Guangzhou Aju shika danke kitanakan Guangzhou Asha Dutela kan Danna Quichelye Nda sidla Quitling akunt arida Gaslani ayedja Krant atlo.
so he said now my circle is small.
Shika danke kitan Nslatara Aju shothan Quishe.
He said I'm still learning Däkwä. Sometimes I don't speak Däkwä very good. But my circle is small now, and so I go and I work with the Danakkuhel and then I go home with my family, and that's it.
Okay. Akan ke Maichano Aju Ayakwadai Khásha Aju Aju Yinji Aju Ntla Kecho Ayet Dekan Gujan ke Kwanje Khásha Aju Ntla Kecho Akan ke Nia Deshu Nia Kijan UK je akan Shijinta Junji ke Nindan.
So the Khásha from a long time ago is gone, and I've grown into a new Khásha, and now I'm like a 5-year-old in the language.
Tara Khásha yakwizat guchan keye. Gayet kwatai guchana jusho san dadan san. Tara yakwizat guchan ke kwanjeye. Kwanjo tarinji shoka.
Sometimes I'd be really mad at English and white people from a long time ago. However, just breathe, take deep breaths.
Tara sho. Aju danke uyinji. Jetsu danke kunje tlutla aju yinji. Ayekwaka aju kwinje. Sinagu ita. Ayekwaka aju yinji danke nflatara sho. Dan aye ata aju jentha ayek deshu aju kwinje.
Sometimes too, I don't know how to say things in the language, and I just won't speak. I'll just sit there quietly. And sometimes too, when I'm around people that don't understand, I just don't speak as well and sit there.
Akan ke atsan ye dajunana khayacho dan ke ketan atsan dajunana Allah ye kwishe anachin ye shun kwinje ye ayet sothan agree.
Now my wife and my kids, they're slowly learning the language. We talk with our hands and like body language as well.
Zetlo anachin ye kwinje akan ye kunje anachin ye.
I'm always speaking with my body now. What I say it with my body too now.
Ma danke ketan uyen ling khayacho ke danke ja hlachi gang kate patling zanu hlaki gang. Nga shan ye kwinje dajan yenitli ye nindan patling ke hlachi gang hlaki taike khayacho ke aju kathana.
For those who want to learn their language and speak their language and do immersion like this, I would say like just do it like only speaking your language for 1 hour, and then the next time do 2 hours, and the next time do 3 hours, and then build up to a day. But also speak with your wife and your family first, and don't just all of a sudden go only speaking your language.
Akan ke dan nakwahiao ye zanu nai dan ke ja rakunje khanzetlo.
So now with the däkwä, we go almost always all day only speaking our language.
Ayet sothan.
That's good.
Ukanithat yeka dakiyu kaner ju dan gujan ke kwanje dan ke jaon anje Mexico you Spanish gakwanje Russia you Russian gakwanje yeka dakiyu gujan ke gakwanje ayet ukanithat aju sothan dajan dakiyi danke dajaona je.
And so I would think about our language and where the language lives, and how people around here weren't speaking the language. And like, so I thought about like people in Mexico speak Spanish and people in Russia speak Russian. Like, why can't we speak our language here? Yeah.
Agangke kujanni Nklatara danke uye kwanje Nklatara danke atsan kwanje tsadigu ajuyinji atajan danke jenza.
And so now sometimes, or I'll speak Danke to Gujan, or to white people, or speak Danke to people. And sometimes they speak back to me in the language, and I get surprised. Like I didn't know this person understood Danke.
Okay. Ayat so than aga lutla so than dan atsan kwanje ke so than akurga.
And that's good for me. It's truly good for me. When people speak to me in the language, it's good for my spirit.
Danke. Kwadai jo turawat.
Oh, right.
Turawat yeita turawat dasho aje. Asua aje. Turawat akai nanchi ke kodinje. O de kyong kao de jan de kan utsan nanji danke danke kunje uga slanye de kyong kao she akanke turawat aye shika aye aga ndas ayet ke kodinje shika ndas atla de jan.
A long time ago, my grandma Tudawat, she's one of our elders. My grandma Tudawat, she prayed over me, and she prayed to Creator to ask him to help me with my language. And so that prayer is still with me today and is still helping me.
Ayet so than da kwan ndunen ke kodinje. The kyong kao that's ananji she that deshun dan ke kunje dagashlanye.
And so everyone, that's good. If you pray over your kids and ask Creator to help them with the language, and that again they'll be speaking the language.
Ayet dan ke ye kunje akan kwadai dan ayet kunje shun. Ayet so than kwadai Khásha dan ke kunje shahu dan ke kunje ayet nalaje.
The language that we're speaking today is the same language that like our ancestors spoke a long time ago. And so like my namesake Khásha, I'm speaking the same language that he spoke
Kwadai jo.
a long time ago. And our ancestors. What did you say?
Oh, that's Lord, that's Ananji.
They always help us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember. Sorry, guys. I remember he said that our language was like medicine.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. Akan ke Nslatara shothan quinje, aju hayacho, ye ukanitha da yet quinje, ayet lache, nslatara. Nslatara shun shothan gentan ke gentha akan.
Now sometimes I speak faster, and I also understand more.
Kwadaicho aju.
A long time ago, I didn't.
Tlahu.
I said done.
Oh my goodness. I just want to raise my hands, Khásha, Shänch'ea, for sharing this past hour with us, your experiences, your journey, the ups and downs, the happy times, of course, and the challenges. I really appreciate that. Again, as I mentioned at the offset, meeting you 20 years ago and seeing you where you're at then, but also seeing the dedication and the focus that you had, it truly has been an amazing journey for you. And so with that, I just want to raise my hands in thanks to you for this opportunity to hear your story. So, and for all of those who are present today, we raise our hands to you for sharing your journey with us. And so with that, I would like to end today's session with our hands raised to you. And all of you that spent time with us, thank you for sharing your questions and your thoughts and coming online today with us. Shadhäla.